Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody. We're getting there. One more time. Hello, everybody. Whoa, nice. Welcome to Vilnius Founders, everybody. We have an amazing event today. Thank you all for coming on this beautiful evening. We were expecting 207 people, but only the best showed up. So give yourself a round of applause for hustling. Yeah, here we go. Some of you may have heard that I'm starting a 120 million fund to bring Americans to Lithuania. That was April's Fool's joke. I hope everyone understood. I did get quite a few messages asking if I'm only going to be investing in Americans, with whom I'm starting with. So it's always a joke. Yes, but sorry, what? So yes, some angry messages, some competitive messages from VC partners, but it's all a joke. But we're starting. This microphone is not doing very well. Hello, hello. I think that this is not working very well either.
It's better.
Oh, it's better.
No,
it's better.
Yeah.
Let's just do this one.
Yeah.
Or I think it's just me being loud. I don't think this. Is it working?
It's working.
It's kind of working. All right. But we are starting the Vilnius Founders to help founders get funding. Just from foreign investors, I have collected over 20 funds now that I'm starting to send our Vilnius Founders pitch decks. So you can just send me your pitch deck on WhatsApp, or you can apply through a link. Just submit the form, and I will get your pitch deck with all the information. And we have everything from Finnish funds to Polish funds, Scandinavians, and even Americans and British people are specifically interested in startups in Lithuania. There's something happening here. There's something good happening here, so they're all interested. So send me your decks, and I'll give you free advice of how to improve it, maybe, or make it worse, and connect to some investors. Sounds good?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. My favorite participant. So, today it's my pleasure to introduce Andrius Minkevičius, co-founder and CTO of Copla, serial entrepreneur with multiple exits, co-founded Paysalut, a core banking platform, was acquired by SumUp, built other companies as CTO, Drivity, IT Girnos, and multiple others, yes?
Sure.
Everything correct, Andrius?
So far.
So far, so good. Very impressive career. Multiple companies started. Andrew, maybe you can just start from telling everyone, look, how did you got into entrepreneurship startups all the way, I mean, how many years ago? Startups were not even probably a term back then.
I think it was already a term. I started, like my interest into startup and business started about 2011, 2012, when in Lithuania this initiative App Camp, I think it was called, started. So we, went to those hackathons, started building apps, and decided that something interesting can grow from there. But actual thing why I started doing businesses and why I went into startups was one morning I was preparing my kids for the daycare, and my 2-year-old daughter comes out of her room crying, and she says, "I don't have anything to wear today." And I understood that, day job will not upkeep her, and I have to start businesses because otherwise I'm doomed.
I'll try this again. I thought you were gonna say, and that's how I started Vinted. But maybe next time, next question. What was Paysalut? What were you doing, and how did you get acquired?
Paysalut, basically, Paysalut started from very interesting story. Somalian pirates came up to me while I was in IT Girnos and said, "Can you create a remittance software between Europe and Africa. Then I understood that it's not pirates, but it was Somalian Telecom, and we were building like cashing in UK, in France, where African immigrants were working and earning money, and then helping with intercontinental remittance. And from there, then SEPA started, and we understood that something interesting is happening. And we created, Paysolute was created actually in UK. But then Brexit happened, and Lithuanian Bank Initiative started, and our clients were worried, like, what will happen, guys? I think we had 3 or 4 clients at that moment. What will happen, guys? You know, this is Brexit and things like that. And we said, we're from Lithuania. Vilnius will be next Fintech hub. So we moved our company into Lithuania and started building banking core, connecting them to gateways. We had super interesting loans software and building a lot of things around fintech. We had a vision that unicorns, you know, are running and eating nice green grass, and we are kiosks which is selling droštukas, what's in English?
Pencil sharpeners.
Pencil sharpeners for their horns, and we are that kiosk.
Nice. So can you share like to what kind of growth you achieved with Paysolute, and when did the exit happen, and what is public about like how much you got from exit?
So the deal is totally closed, but one thing probably which I can reveal is we got half of the amount in cash and half of the amount in stocks, and it still keeps giving.
Beautiful. And Copla is now in, I guess, regulation, compliance, especially for fintechs. So it seems like a kind of continuous journey, right? Does it come from your experience from Paysolute?
It comes from a lot of experiences, but at Paysolute, when someone was hacking our clients, this meant that they are hacking us, because all infrastructure was done by Paysolute, you know, banking core, web, mobile app, or like all channels, everything was done by us mostly. So I switched at that company from CTO into CISO because it was really hard to find someone with that amount of experience. And it was very interesting experience because it is very rare when you as a CISO can work with, you know, 40, 50 banks at once and help them do their cybersecurity. So I picked up a lot of experience there really fast. But also I noticed that about 80% of CISO work is just a very expensive alarm clock. You're just reminding everybody what you have to do, and you have to do DevOps this, developers that, and I started doing something to optimize that work. Then exit happened, and you know, I thought that this could be a really great product. For a year I worked because nobody believed me. They said it's only maximum a service. But for a year I worked, you know, in a very hardcore startup way, in evenings, sometimes besides my day job, to productize it, and I sold to 2 clients for monthly recurring revenue. To one I sold for €1 per month, to another I sold for €1,000 per month. A lot of experiences there because I understood that if you sell cheaply they don't value. So yeah, then we started increasing our prices.
That's a great example of like continuous innovation in a similar field. And you started Copla together with your previous co-founders from Paysolute, right?
Well, not exactly. Aurimas only from previous co-founders. The two, they did not believe idea to the full extent. But basically, it was not about that inviting co-founders, but probably inviting competences. And our co-founder Noyus, who is really deeply in compliance and cybersecurity from legal perspective. Aurimas is super great at sales, well, and I'm technological co-founder.
Sounds great. When did you understood that Copla is gonna really take off, and what was like initial traction or deals?
When it was that initial period when we started selling, we just went with what we have. I did build, well, it was working example, but kind of did not meet architectural requirements for this type of the platform. Initial option, we started showing to the clients and started selling, and we saw that the clients are buying. We still have clients from that period. Then we increased prices and they still kept buying, and then we increased prices one more time and people still kept buying. And that was when we understood that we should get investment and start growing significantly faster.
Can you share anything about the traction that helped you raise the Series A, the 6 million Series A that you just closed?
What we did in that period between seed and Series A is exactly the same what we do now. I think that currently good startups don't get investment, only great startups get investment, and I'm not bragging or anything. We just look at KPIs for which investors look what they search for. We increase those KPIs significantly. We write them on the board at our startup, and we try to strive into those new, significantly bigger KPIs, because otherwise I think environment has changed so much from Paysalu times that it's not very easy. It's like totally different ecosystem. So that's what we're striving for, and it's not only traction, but everything matters. Employees per MRR, I don't know, like everything matters. And of course, everything has to be AI, so we have a separate AI team at the moment, which screwing on various AI agents.
Would you say, is there like a specific MRR number or some growth KPI that investors are looking in B2B SaaS right now?
I think investors are looking for healthy growth, so I'm not sure that some MRR number is viable. They are looking for very fast growth, which they are, I think, a little bit spoiled by all those quick AI startups. So it's not very easy for us in this topic, because compliance is a little bit, more difficult thing. So I think the growth itself, but also effectiveness. So when, startup in 2018 could be just a startup without, you could burn money and whatever. Now, your startup has to be very healthy and very good business, and investment is just speeding that business up. You cannot cover your lack of knowledge with investment. Like investment is only for speed.
Can you share with how many investors did you talk with, and let's say from how many did you get offers or term sheets? I know Aurimas, your co-founder, has this philosophy of always always fundraising in the background and always staying in touch with investors. But from your side, approximately how many did you have to pitch to close a Series A?
Well, that is a couple of numbers which I don't know about our startup, is how many employees we have and how many investors we approached, because Aurimas only tells me that with these investors you have to talk, And these investors, he thinks that
How many investors did you have to talk?
about 30, I think.
30.
Yeah. But you know that talking for investors is not just for seeking for investment. We keep talking because environment is also changing and it's transforming. And even this month we had discussions with several investors when they say that these things happen, then you have to adapt if you want to look great on Series B. And now there is still time for us to adapt to it. So we keep in touch for a while, not only for the sake of investment. Any advice helps.
And who did you raise from the Series A now? From which investors?
It's a huge number of investors, unfortunately. I think in our like PR message, everyone are listed, but I'm bad with names.
No worries, Andrius. I figured like I have a CTO. I'm asking the wrong questions at this moment. Let's switch to product development. Do you still catch yourself making some mistakes that that you have seen in the past that you make, as you maybe in Basolot or some other companies that you made and you maybe keep repeating, or now that you know for sure how to avoid? Like these lessons learned that are really burnt in your memory.
Well, a lot of mistakes I've learned how to avoid, and we are avoiding, and that speed of ours basically comes a lot from experience. However, if you're not making mistakes, you're moving too slow. And first, when all those famous people were telling that you have to make some amount of mistakes, otherwise, you're not moving enough in your business. Well, I thought, it's better to do without mistakes, but no, actually you're too slow and it's good to make mistakes. And what we do at Copla, I think a little bit different from Basolot and other ventures which I had, we are doing mistakes deliberately, but in what way? We probably don't know the solution fully, but we decide if it's safe to move with this decision for a while. For example, it is safe to live with this decision for a month, for 2 months, for 3 months, and then we put reminders to revise that decision. And it really works, and sometimes you made a mistake, sometimes not, but halting on it would have been significantly worse. So this is what we do a little bit differently with those mistakes. But one thing I've learned is there is one mistake, especially as technological co-founder, you should avoid at all costs, is you have to minimize like reprogramming, like redoing your code as much as possible. You have to build good architecture from scratch. You have to keep up with it, because rebuilding it in Series A or Series B, it costs a lot and it slows you down and you burn a lot of investment, which could have went into growth.
Hello? All right, maybe. Oh. I'll try turn it off and turn it on again. Hello? Yeah. Maybe I'll just continue without it. Pardon? Let's share. So it's probably easy, to say don't make mistakes and build a great architecture from beginning. But how do you do it? Like, how do you plan so well ahead that you wouldn't need to refactor, rewrite, redo it later on?
You have to have a really good vision of your product and where will you move and at what stages, and how everything will connect in future. even today, we had a discussion in our product owners team, and I still ask any architectural changes to be approved by me. And they were discussing, and I said, look, there is a small tweak which I also want for you to implement right now in this type of architecture, because today it will cost us close to zero. We will not notice, but if we will have to implement this later, it will be a lot of refactoring. So you basically think about those things. This is probably, you know, a little bit of experience, a little bit of knowledge, a little bit of technological magic, and then you get a good architecture. Don't over-engineer, but have a good vision on where you are going. And don't build unnecessary stuff. If clients are not paying for it, let's not build it. It's not worth it.
So, but then it's very easy in the beginning to make this mistake of building something too complex. But exactly, like maybe clients don't need it yet, but you're looking forward and you're thinking, we probably will need it at Series A, but you're still not sure. So then how do you manage this balance of not overdoing it, not overbuilding this architecture, or not overdoing the features? Like, is it you have to get the sale first always, or what is your prioritization process?
So sale is best, pre-sale is second best. 25 clients, prospect clients asking for it and losing deals because of it is third best. Everything else is unneeded. So basically, you know, everybody says, oh, we need this, we need that. Could you build it, will improve your platform? Just price it and see if they are, you know, voting with money. If they are not, they don't need it.
Maybe I'll try again. Oh, this is way better now. Can you also talk about, as a CTO, now in your second or third, fourth startup, about hiring your first engineers? What do you look for in your first developers?
Oh, that's a very interesting topic. People say hire slow, fire fast. I don't know, I hire fast, fire fast. So, at Copla it really works like seniority level. I look for senior people now, or very, very late stage mids. I look for situations where people could still grow, that they probably don't know something about architecture, you know, about maybe language, about, you know, some decisions, and your project will make them grow. And then when a lot of people with good seniority come to grow, it motivates and really increases team morale. And unfortunately, well, in outsourced business, you can, you know, hire probably various types of people because you have various types of jobs, but especially now at Copla, it like really works. Also, even good people I had to let go because there was not enough room for them to grow. They were bored, and that was killing team's morale. And I still had to say goodbye. Sometimes people were better during job interview than they appeared in reality. I made a decision, you know, in 3, in 4, in 5 weeks after starting working with them. Because it really shows on team morale, on speed, on delivery. So, and I don't say that those people are bad or something, but they're not just fit for this project.
So now obviously AI is changing how we develop products. How is that affecting Copla and your everyday work?
It affects us a lot. I would say AI makes huge. Basically, AI makes our startup possible. AI and EU regulation. Thanks. Thanks EU for third startup in a row. but we're using AIs in various situations. Everybody is using it, on day-to-day situations. We are building various agents, proof of concepts, which take job away from our CISOs and our operations, and then we implement them into our platform. So with AI, I believe that it works not as a chat, but when it does the job on behalf of person. And we also feel, so developers wipe code a little bit, but not too much because it's a mess to fix later on.
What are your favorite tools, AI tools?
AWS Bedrock. Yeah, we are.
So you just spin up on AWS your own instances of LLMs. Do you use any frameworks, any platforms for building agents?
Yes and no. If you just want to try something really fast, so yeah, we use platforms, Claude mostly. But when we think that this or that already makes sense to put into production, then it's already a little bit corporate, because our clients are really, really sensitive about how we use their data, and all this bootstrap until it's done is not working in our environment. Our clients have to be impressed about our cybersecurity and our architecture, otherwise they don't buy. So yeah, we do it hard way.
Got it. So just for someone who might not be technical, you basically spin up everything in your own infrastructure, in your own environment, so no data goes out, and then you generate code or whatever else you need.
Yeah. We generate code, we make, agents do work, then other agents provide, comments for that work, what would be the work they proofread, and there's... To generate one document automatically, we need about 28 agents for it not to slop, to do it correctly, and prompt sizes around, 50,000 words, 100,000 words, something around that.
So now I'm curious, do you implement any of this, what we call heartbeats or anything else from OpenClaw kind of style of agents on your own setup?
Not yet, but we have it in plans. Yeah.
Cool. So let's wrap this up with one advice for startups that are starting now. With all this craziness of AI going on, what would you say as a technical co-founder? Let's maybe focus on CTOs. They're starting fresh. They're probably most likely not going to be in fintech regulation industry. So maybe less restrictive security requirements. What would be your advice for new CTOs, especially young CTOs that are just starting their first company?
Sell, and sell. Don't build anything if it's not sold. Basically, that is the advice. And when sales team come to you, don't believe them. That, we need this feature, we will sell more. Go into pre-sale meetings, participate, talk with the prospects, and have your own feeling. And don't build anything you're not paid for.
Nice. Let's couple more then. This is great. I love this. As a sales business co-founder myself, it's always hard to get CTOs to get involved in sales because obviously they're very busy building the product. So how do we, then advice for CEOs or salespeople, what is the right way to approach and get CTOs involved?
Be prepared that CTO will be annoyed. That's all right. So, if someone is CTO, this means that they're on somewhat level of autism spectrum. Learn how to communicate with them. Not DevOps level of autism, but CTO is something like that. Learned how to communicate with them. For us to switch from traditional business into financial industry, it took Aurimas about, I think 6 or 7 meetups with me, not persuasively trying, Andrius, it's probably better market, but I was saying, well, I don't like that market, let's do, addressable market, otherwise it's bigger. And he said, well, we will sell more, blah, blah, blah. So, kind ways, but if there are CTOs in this room, participate in sales meetings. I made one architectural decision which our competitors cannot make. It will cost them really, really expensively, because I participated in those early pre-sales with markets which we are not selling even to this day. It was healthcare market. They said various things which they have problems, and then it was iPhone effect. It appears that other markets also have those problems, but they just don't understand them yet. Participate in pre-sales meeting, talk with prospect clients. They give a lot of information there.
Great, that's fantastic note to finish. Thank you so much, Andrius. Awesome. Great talk. With this new inspiration, go grab a drink, talk to a CTO, get him involved in sales, even if he's on a spectrum and annoyed. And drinks today are sponsored by FIRSTPICK. So everyone clap for FIRSTPICK. And Andra is going to be next on the hot seat. But now you have a chance to pitch. So just everyone rush her at the same time now and pitch from all sides. All right, we'll be back in 10 minutes. Grab a drink. Oh, one more thing, guys. I actually dedicated significant time this time, and I set up an Instagram account and Twitter account for Vilnius Founders. So take some pictures and post it online and tag us on Instagram and Twitter, and I will reshare it, and investors maybe will see your startup. So mention your startup.